Hey y'all, today we have, of course, a familiar face and voice you'll hear in just in a second. Familiar even if you've never listened to the podcast, because my man Chris Franklin is taking off out here. He's hitting the radio. He's been on Jacob Media. He's doing the NJ.com thing for years. If you listen to random, he has an infectious laugh that you'll probably hear once or twice over the course of this. He kicking back and forth with Nick Sirianni, and you can hear him laughing on random YouTube videos, making jokes with the coaches. Chris, how are things going for you, man?
Not bad, man. It's going well. I'm trying to get reacclimated to life after the NFL annual meetings, and it was a whirlwind week, a few days, and a lot that went on, man. It's crazy, man. How are you doing?
Good. Work is busy, and then we're kind of in the slow season of sports, especially Philly sports. But it doesn't really allow you to have a slow season, because now you got Philly people all excited about the Phillies. You got Sixers taking off towards the playoffs. You got Eagles heating up, and I mean, this is a Eagles town. I mean, their people have their different flavors, but I think the Eagles is kind of like the safe through line for most sports fans, and so people are always paying attention to that. So took a little break from after the Super Bowl, because obviously a little too soon, and just 3 points short. Jalen was amazing though. So off the top, I mean, do you agree with me? He was the best player on the field in the Super Bowl.
I would have thought at first I would say like, hey, you know what? Yeah, I thought he was. Him and Pat Mahomes were neck and neck, because I look at the way that. I look at the way the way he did what Jalen did, and using his legs, as we all know, and throwing the ball with precision in those tight windows, and getting that offense moving. They did a really, really good job. And then I look at the way that Pat Mahomes did, and yeah, he started out slow, and that injury. And I can tell you this: I had my story written, 3/4 written at the second half. Once I saw him limping, and the Chiefs' backup quarterback really going, I was like, oh wow, this game's over. Get to set up. After that. Yeah, Pat Mahomes took over, and he really did. I liked what he did in terms of willing that offense down the field. I saw those throws he was making the right reads, and picking apart that Eagles defense. So I look at it, it's a quarterback-driven league, and those two, man, they put on a show. And I gotta say, the future of that position, I think I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if we saw. If we started counting the way that we saw Manning and Brady's, like I was like, man, Brady's 6, Brady, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing in Hurts and Mahomes like 2, 3, 4. It's a little tougher because they're different conferences, but I think there probably will be at least one more Super Bowl with these teams facing off against each other.
And there's the ultimate respect between the two. And if you would have told me before, when we were talking last year, and if I would have been on here talking about, yeah, man, Jalen Hurts is about to come out here and have a great season. He's going to duel Patrick Mahomes be at his best, and Jalen Hurts, give him a duel. You'd have been like, Matt, like, come on, like, you're a fan, you're being a fan, you got to chill out. Jalen Hurts probably ascend and be a playoff quarterback, but nobody could have imagined that kind of ascension in his game. And, I keep thinking, like, what if he has another one of those? What if he has another big jump? If that's the case, I mean, the potential is unlimited.
Yeah, and it's funny. I'll go back to the other thing first. It's fun to watch those two even when they're not playing against each other, because I still remember on opening night, and a lot of focus when the two teams were on the stage at the same time, when basically the two teams' captains were on the stage at the time they're being interviewed. You look and saw when they were talking to Nick and Andy, instead of talking to other position players, you saw Jalen and Patrick just talking and vibing, and see the way they talk. It's like, wow, like these two, like the respect there is real, and it's not like one of those, hi, oh yeah, this player is playing this way. No, you can generally see that they're really cool with each other. And then when you look at what Jalen could do, go back to what Jalen could do in the future. It really can, because he used to say he used to watch a lot of Russell Wilson, and you see Randall Cunningham and stuff like that. You see the way that when you look at where Russell Wilson was and the way he ascended, not 2022 Russell Wilson, but when you go to earlier Russell Wilson, he's getting there, and if he gets to that point, the Eagles could be good for years. Once you saw that quarterback position, it goes a long way.
No, I mean Russell Wilson that won and had his team in the Super Bowl wasn't as good as Jalen Hurts was this year. Now Russell
Yeah.
got better later in his career when he started, some of these ridiculous throws. He started hitting the top rocket. Yes, I'm not saying Jalen Hurts is playing last year better than Russell Wilson ever did, but Super Bowl Russell Wilson, there's never a Super Bowl Russell Wilson that was as good as what we saw from Jalen Hurts last year.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. I agree with that. Truly, yeah. It's just future's good, and this was if the Eagles might have something really good brewing here. It's yeah, and he gets to keep his quarterback coach. So yeah, it's a lot. Everything they're doing the right thing by putting the right players around them, and it's looking really good for them in the future.
Absolutely. So new proposal came out from the league meetings, which you were just at. Will allow the Eagles to wear the beloved Kelly greens. When we talk about Randall Cunningham, I mean, how often should we really expect to see that, though? Is that a once or twice during the season, get everybody riled up for a big game, or will that be should we expect to be seen as like a mainstay of the attire for the team?
I think it's gonna be like the way they use the all black uniforms. I think you'll see it twice a week because it'll be the alternate ones. And as soon as Nike, for what we heard from what Lori said, as soon as Nike gets the helmet done, and it's finally the way that matches as close to it is, because the Kelly greens, like the original color, is gone because they keep the color palette of Richie Timon before computers and everything else. So the truest form of Kelly green that we used to see is going to be it's tough to duplicate, replicate. But they're going to get as close as from what I heard, it is pretty close-ish from what it is. So it's going to be as soon as I get that all situated squared away, I think you'll see it once, maybe twice a year. I forget if the teams get 2 or 3 alternate jerseys a year, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Kelly Green gets more play when it comes to that, and maybe an all black one with that.
Is that a Cowboys game type of get up? I mean, what is it? What is that kind of day? Because they bring out the all black for the Giants when they go spank the Giants. What is it? All green, the Boston Scott running down the sidelines, just totally torching the Giants in the all black Boston Scott. So what are the Kelly Greens feel? What's that vibe, Chris?
If once the schedule comes out, if there's a Cowboy game at if there's a home Cowboy game, and they try to force them to wear the blues, I think that would be great just to see that. And then, like late in the season, a Giants. It really depends, when that Super Bowl rematch is. If it's opening night, I always can't see they won't pull it out then. But if it's something where maybe the Patriots, no, that's a away game too. Sorry about that. If it's a division game, like if it's the Commanders, if it's a game late in the season where they're looking like they close, if it's the Giants, I think you pretty much use it for the NFC East to get that old school feel ish to it. Especially if New York decides to go with their old school ones, that would be fun just to see the old school Giants uniforms versus the old school Eagles ones. Yeah, I feel like it's 1990s. We're get the MC Hammer, get all this music blaring while you're out there watching to begin with anyway.
I like the Commanders too. I like the idea of playing in that color scheme. They bounce well. That color. Yeah. I hate watching like the Phillies play the Reds because it's like I can't tell.
Oh, that's the worst. It's like, all right, who's the home team? Oh, wait, red and white. Well, which one? Red and white. Okay, the road team's gray and red. Okay, which one? I don't know. So it's always fun with those two teams.
It's so annoying.
Oh my goodness! Like, guys, all right, can you just space them out a little bit, or make somebody wear a variation or something like that for it? That's what some like when the Phillies want to powder blues against the Reds, like, all right, cool. At least I know.
Yes.
Like, just walking a lot quickly.
So they had the tush push also discussion at the league meetings where you're just coming from. Was there any real? Were there? They got to get the 32 votes. Was there any real substantial support behind that proposal to get rid of that play?
Sometimes I feel like there's some similarities between the proposals, the owners voting on stuff, and like a bill passing through in Washington.
Yes,
where they try to get a drum up enough support where if they know they have enough votes, they'll put it out there so it'd be voted on and pass it. But there really was some pushback from what I've heard. And when I asked, I remember asking Pete Carroll at the combine, "Hey, what do you think about that?" And he says he wasn't wrong. At first, he was like, "I don't like it," but then he started thinking more and more, and he's not opposed to it at all now. In fact, he
That's
thinks if
right.
anything, it's going to change the way they're calling first and second downs, the game plans for that. So I think there's still a lot of teams like Sean Payton is going to be another one that is going to use it a lot. The Saints are going to start using it with Taysom Hill because he has
Yep.
to do something else besides. So he's not the
Yes.
starting quarterback. You
Throw
got to put him.
terrible, airmail passes over tight ends' heads out of bounds.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah. And if anything, if you get creative with it, we started seeing the evolution when the Eagles were using it. They were using it to fake it and then running like toss sweeps. And just imagine you start running options or toss sweep options. There's so much you could do with it. And if the defense is allowed to basically push their guys and aid their guys, that's been happening for a while. Like you see the pile, like
yes,
they try to rush their gaps, and then you see the linebackers go behind it just to make that to lower that, and then they try
yes,
to jump over and stuff. They might as well just
absolutely,
equal it up. So they
absolutely.
tabled it. They didn't even bring it. They didn't even bring it up. So I think they're going to watch to see what happens this year. If it runs rampant, or some team really gets it seems like their
Mhm.
season go down, lose the season out of it, then I think they bring it up again. But otherwise, right now it's like it's here. It's definitely going to be here to stay for another year.
Yeah, well, Ed Kratz, I talked about it. I was like, this is like when the NCAA banned the dunking because Kareem was dunking too much and he was dominating. It's like that's not the reason for rules, like to improve competition. If where we gonna all like mid-range jumpers soon? The 3-pointer, no quarter threes. Like what are we doing here?
It's funny you brought that up because it reminds me of the movie Semi Pro with Will Ferrell when they actually tried the alley oop for the first time and they stopped like no basketball. Like there's nothing illegal about it.
Right.
Yeah, we'll allow it. All right, cool. So yeah, it's cool. Now, if you were to
Exactly.
if you were an owner, would you have stopped it, or would you even bring this up?
I would have voted no. I think it's a football play. I think in an age of where you've got linebackers, basically all hybrid safeties coming out here. You got to make a team pay for that. With in certain situations, there will be opportunities to do something that 10 years ago people weren't thinking about. Things like this wouldn't have worked. A tush push type of play against the 85 Bears probably would have, guys would have really been hurting. But the way that the game is played now, and I think it's 100% a football play. It looks like rugby, but football has rugby-ish, vibe to it. I mean, you go watch a rugby game; it's a lot of fun. Actually, it's got some similar feel to it. Like it can't forward pass, but everything else, their collisions are. Have you been to one of these before?
I saw the rugby sevens on TV before, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I couldn't play that. It'd be fun, like it feel like a school area, but even then, like I probably would fun at school. I was an agent running around like in the school yard playing rugby. Okay, that's fun. Nowadays, like like in my late 30s, like nah, I can't. I can feel the pain starting to go in my leg,
No,
arms, my legs, and everything else right now. And, nah, I'll pass on that.
it's crazy. They rarely have like head injuries. I mean, obviously they have other injuries, but because they have like the like I guess it's like in their sport ethics that they don't lead with their head. They just have like they teach it out of the kids. So you have like these ridiculous explosive, collisions. And then both guys kind of get up a second later and get back in
Yeah,
the game. It's like, whoa.
and then they'll have a beer afterwards. Like, yeah, that was fun. That was fun. Yeah, let's do it again. Okay, cool. Sound good. Like,
That's
yeah, I just like
part of
try
it
to take
too.
my head
Yeah.
off. You take my head off?
Exactly.
Yeah, it happened. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so many similarities. But yeah, I mean, you're right. And I mean, the NFL's just cyclical. So all these plays that we probably saw in the 20s and 30s, like Alice and everything else, just straight T, the single wing. I mean, single wing was basically the Wildcat was basically a single wing, and
Yes,
this
right.
is just like basically something else stuff. So you'll see. It's just if all somebody has to really do if they want to be innovative, like, oh, what were they running in the 1920s? Oh, this is what it looks like here. We can add this. This is very cool. Nobody's prepared, have seen it in a while. Throw it out there and just
That's
run
right.
with it. Just go with it.
Yep. I mean, Derrick Henry throwing touchdown passes, like that's what part of the sport. Like, I'm gonna outsmart you. I'm gonna like throw something at you. The ring around the rosy thing. We talked about the ring around the rosy thing back in December. That's awesome. Like, we shouldn't be outlawing things like that. You got to be ready for us to come out of the huddle as fast or as weirdly as possible. If we line up before, don't delay the game, and we line up and we don't have illegal motion, illegal shifts, false start, it's fair. All's fair. That's my opinion.
This is so true. So true. And here's a random question. I know I was thinking about this. Just thinking about that. Is there a proposal that you would have put out there? And going back to put your owner hat again, is there a proposal that you would have put out there to change something in the game right now?
Yeah, I like defensive pass interference, offensive pass interference being challengeable. And I think you should get multiple challenges per half. I think you might need to get 2 challenges per half just for that. Because the way that the game is being played now, people are like Aaron Rodgers is the worst culprit. He's a great player. Great player. I don't throw that word around. Great player. But sometimes you see Aaron Rodgers line up, literally just tell his guy to, audible tell his guy to run deep because we're just trying to get a pass interference. If in those situations, that is in the other camp of like not ball type plays where you're not actually trying to make a play. You just want to kind of play to the refs. It's kind of acting. And I think the way that it can swing a game so drastically, I think coaches need some kind of recourse other than just flipping out on the sidelines. I think it would make life better for the refs too, because I mean, they can't win with some of these PI calls, and they gotta call it like if they see it, like the holding, that was a hold. But if that was challengeable, then you would have had everybody go to the side, defensive hold, pass interference, offensive. I think those should be challengeable. What do you think about that?
That's not bad at all. I think especially when you look at what happened a few years ago, and they did that. I think there was a lot of times they were too really scared. If you even make the defensive pass interference rule clear and concise, I think you do that because you're right. When they try to do that fade route on the side and the quarterbacks deliberately underthrow it, so when the receiver tries to run back in there, they run right into the defensive back. The defensive back's like, I'm trying to locate the ball, can't find it. Wait, now we got the ball at 30-yard penalty where as the OPI, it was a blatant push off, which guys are getting sneaky, especially when you get the
that's
onto
right
the midsection and get out and get lean off there. It's like, wait, what? It's only 10 yards. Like, what's going on with that? It's like I would like to see a better read, maybe a sky judge to look at it real quick and they buzz down like, that's not really pass interference, and they have a discussion there.
Because it's such a passing league. And I mean, it's just really hard to hold anybody under 13 points in modern NFL football. Like, if you've held 13 is like the new 6 in NFL football. Like, you cannot blank people out anymore because of, and some of it is warranted, but some of it is like the guy got, teams are getting completely shut out and their biggest play of the game is a 60-yard PI play. Like, come on.
It's bad. It really is bad. Like, and then like, if you hold 17 was it? The average was like 17. I want to say if you can hold somebody to 17 a game, 17, 18 a game, you're the Eagles, they're the number 2 defense in the league.
Yeah.
That one, and like, wow, you're a really good defense. 17 points is good. Okay.
Right.
All right, cool. It's offensive league now, so yeah, all rules skewed in their favor anyway. So, man, take a little bit back.
Take a because I mean they could still challenge, be wrong, and it was a PI, and then the receiver can actually get his due instead of like, oh, you're just a flopper type of guy who I think it just brings more sport into it than playing to the refs for PIs. I mean, it kind of hurts the integrity of the game, in my opinion.
It's become like soccer a little bit too. Like guys go into the area, they start knowing they're in the box area. Like, oh no, he tripped me or he held me or what's that for? Give me the PK or basketball. Oh, I'm driving the lane. Oh, he's not him. No, he didn't.
Right. Right. I mean, that's like if you watch a Mavericks game, that's like half of the game. Luka Doncic. Just watch Luka. Like he's talking to the refs the whole time.
That's why he gets so mad. That's why That's why you got to face that tech suspension. Like, yeah, they're probably tired. Like, all right, listen. We got Luca. I'm telling you. All right, that's enough. Click.
Right, right.
Teed up. If they had technicals in football, there'd be so much trouble. So many guys were in
Oh my
trouble.
gosh. Yes. So we were talking about the tush push, and then like, you know, the best way to stop that is having these huge nose guards, strong ends. Do you think Jeffrey Simmons is a realistic scenario for the Eagles, or is that more of social media hype and dreamers?
I wouldn't completely discredit it at all. I mean, I think that when you look at what Howie Rose has been able to do when it comes to extensions and getting contracts and avoidable years to make it within the cap healthy, I think it's fine. But you still have to worry about you still have to actually come to an agreement. Like something like the AJ Brown, you have to get permission from the Titans before they say, hey, okay, here's a package for a deal. Then, all right, let's work out, see if we can work out extension. And you still got to worry about the Hurts extension, which if you basically make the deal workable around certain areas and increase in lower years after years, you can make it work, but still it's that. And then after that, you make sure he wants to play, he's right fit, and then so there's a lot of variables in that. I wouldn't say it's a completely zero chance because we've seen this team do that, but I think they're really looking more toward the younger side as of right now. If I had to put like a percentage on it, I'd probably say 35-ish for
That's
around
a
there if I
big
had to really do that.
chance because he's a
Yeah,
baller.
yeah, he's good. It's just about how much it's about what compensation they would give the Titans and what the Titans were looking for. If the Titans were cool with, I don't see the first round picks. I think are off the board right now because that 5th year control for a player at a position of need, given the cap hit you're expected to get from Jalen Hurts, is going to be key. So I think those are off the board. A second, being that you already have 2 firsts, and that's pretty much that second first round pick is pretty much a second round pick. All right, cool. I
Sweet.
mean, and then, or if you put a package together with a pick from this year and knowing that you have about 12 projected picks next year, with the 2 of them being second round picks and 2 of them, one your own third, a projected third for Hargrave, maybe you throw one of those in there and package it with a third or second and then say, hey, we want them for a year. And you just hope that you're able to find a way to do an extension, but you pretty much got to agree right before that. So, it's
Yeah.
just a lot of moving parts in that deal there.
He would be one heck of a I think he might be more effective in this defense than Hargrave was really good, but his fit was he fit better in Pittsburgh, I think. He just wasn't good enough yet to be at his peak in Pittsburgh, but that 3-4 was a better, I don't know. You think he's a better 3-4 4-3?
I think like they switch so much on that front now. It's pretty much a 4-3, and they just bring up Reddick and Sam's almost to make it look like a defensive end. So like you'll like wait
5-2.
a minute,
Yeah.
yeah, it's like
It's
wait a minute, he's
5-2.
going this
That's what
way,
they
he's going
play.
there, like so
Yeah.
they give like those principles in that way. But look at him if he gets like in that 3 technique, like just off like the guard's shoulder, and he's going around there and inside and just getting the pressure that way. I think he does well with that. It's pretty much close to like being an attacking 4-3 as well too. So I think he could be a decent fit. With everything else in life, it's all about the money.
Yeah. What about Kevin Byard, another potential pickup from Tennessee? We're dreaming about all the Tennessee players.
AJ Brown's probably like, well, I left Tennessee. Everybody's coming around here. I had Brett Kern came up already. I know we're talking about Simmons and Byard. I think that one's more like a 5% near zero because
Yeah,
Byard
that's
really
right.
he's got a bigger his cap is large this year. Yeah, you have to do the
15.
restructure and everything else.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see that. And then also he's he's already mentioned that he wants to stay with one team for a whole his career, and he's got really deep ties to the community. Almost similar to how Michael Jenkins when he came here, he started investing in the community and stuff and doing a lot of outreaches. I mean, he had Byard has a building named after him out there already in Tennessee. He's really put a lot of stuff in there, and I think he
Oh
wants to remain in
wow.
Tennessee. And the two
Oh
sides wants
wow.
to stay there. Yeah, so I think he's going to stay.
Yeah. And another one I think is a low probability is Zeke to Philly. What are you, a 0 to 100? What's the chances that Zeke comes in to be number 4 for the Eagles, or 3 or 4?
I I think it's 50-50. maybe 51-49.
Wow, 50,
There's
50.
I was talking to a couple people out there. I was talking to one person I know who's down there in Dallas, and there was some interest in that end where
Hmm.
yeah, there was some interest. Nothing like, hey, we need you here, we want you here. That's a I think that whole and I fell for it too, and I admit that whole thing saying, oh, the Eagles are finalists right there. I think that was more of his agency side when he came to that. But
Yes,
I wouldn't be shocked
absolutely.
if the numbers were right, and then all of a sudden you see a camp battle happening, and I think Penny's still here no matter what because they're really high on Penny. I mean, Nick watched him out when he
They
was in
should
San
be.
Diego, and it's the thing with him is he's got to stay healthy. Gainwell, we know, is going to be the
Hmm.
guy is what important to cog
Yep,
here.
that's right. That's
So,
right.
and Nick was really really high on Sermon, and he's a power guy, but
I know.
maybe
I was
Nick.
going to ask you about that. What in the world?
Maybe that's the camp battle. Zeke versus Sermon, and then they keep the fourth guy Scott, and he's sprinkled in. You
Wow.
throw him in the Giants, and then you use him as a kick returner. I don't know. I it's not completely far fetched,
Wow.
but it's not. It's trust me, it's not a Lando. It's like I'm saying, oh, he wants to come here. It's not to the fact that yeah, we really really want to go, but I think it's more to the fact of you know what,
50.
it's not an automatic no.
I mean, it would be for him, outright release is kind of insulting to him. And he has been a very good NFL football player. I feel like maybe it's kind of what he might be one of those things like you need every now and then to somebody to doubt you, somebody to say, you're not, you can't do what you think you can do or what you've seen yourself do. And sometimes that lights another fire up under you and re-sparks you. I mean, Zeke has had troubles in the summer coming into camp in shape. And if he has to, because his spot is not guaranteed, if he comes in it's not far-fetched to say Zeke could go still rush for 1,000 yards for somebody.
He could, yeah, it won't be here.
Not
I know
just the
that for a
Eagles,
fact.
somebody.
Yeah, I don't think he's right. I don't think
No.
he's rushed for 1,000. He's not here because when he
No,
was
no, no,
that's
no,
it.
no. Not
No Eagles
here.
running backs. I really think no Eagle. Penny has an outside shot to get
No.
maybe to 1,000, but I think just the way that it just looks like they could be setting up to use that rotation. I think it's gonna be tough for one
Three-headed
of
back.
them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be tough for them to get it. If combined they get about 16, 1700 yards. Sure, you take that in a heartbeat, but nah,
Absolutely.
and you're right. Zeke has to come in focus because it's no Cabo, nothing like that. Now you have to go make sure you know that there. But I think it really comes down. If I had to look and see the situations, I think it comes down more to if Mixon. The things it depends what happens with Mixon and everything else. But I think it really comes down to the Bengals and the Eagles. If I had to play the two true ones, those teams.
That's a good situation for Zeke Elliott too, to go to Cincinnati. I mean, because you've got two incredible wide receivers. I mean, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. That's my favorite tandem in the league. They're all respect to my guys. Everybody knows who I like as my favorite team, and we got a heck of a one in Philly. But T. Higgins and Jamar Chase,
They're good.
that's serious business.
They're going to the outside. I would have loved to see it. It didn't matter. I would have loved to see the Eagles cornerbacks go against those two in the Super Bowl too. That would have been a great matchup, I think, too. But whew, yeah, thankfully the path in the NFC is a lot easier to get through than the AFC because I don't know how you get through seeing those teams on the regular. Like Chiefs Bengals become almost like an annual event, and some of these
That's
other
right.
games. I don't know how you get through.
And the Bills, you think the Bills are gonna, what in your mind, more likely that the Bills make it back to the AFC Championship or that they kind of continue to step back a little bit?
It's another year added on Josh Allen, where he still runs the way he runs, and he's taking his fair share of hits. It depends on to me. It depends on where it's seated. If they finish as the top seed, I really think they have a good shot to go to AFC Championship, if not win, because you're taking one of those teams up to Buffalo and playing there in that snow, which it's probably gonna be a blizzard that day, knowing the way Buffalo is. But
Mm-hmm.
you take them
Mm-hmm.
up there, and they're right. If they're anywhere or three or below, Nah, and if Kansas City's the one, forget about it. I think Kansas City wins that, but they really need they just need to they need to be the 2 or higher. They need to be actually they just need to be the 1 period because if they're 1 seed, I think they had a better shot. But I have questions about Josh Allen like over time, like how much wear and tear that one too. And he just throws the bonehead interception here and there as well too. He tries to
Oh
force
my
it.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Ever since Brian Dable left last year, it's like, what are you doing? Like, I think Brian Dable was the one yelling at his ear, like, "Yo, stop trying to make those decisions."
That's right.
Now he's going. He's like,
Yep.
Ken Dorsey's like, no, don't, not trying to put him like down that way. So he's not as forceful as a voice as Brian Dable. And Josh is just trying to play hero ball at points last year.
He's the modern day Brett Favre. I've said it many times. Modern day Brett Favre with real wheels. Brett Favre had some okay wheels, but not real wheels.
That decision making, I guess that in a divisional game. Oh, let me just throw it up in overtime. Yeah, somebody's going to be there. Oh, wait, Brian Dawkins treating it like a punt. Yeah, all right. That was Josh Allen at times.
Just I don't got nothing, but somebody's gonna. There's a magnet here,
Yeah.
and Stephon Diggs. You can watch Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs is pissed.
It looks more and more now. He's just sitting there like, I want to see what's out there, but I know there's probably not going to be a better situation. I don't want to go back and play with Kurt, but I do I'm still worried about this. And Diggs, he's in the middle of his prime. You know, he knows he has only like a limited amount of time now. He's starting to get up there a little bit. Not there, but he's starting to get up there.
That's right. Yeah. This is Diggs' moment. He's got to do it in the next 2 or 3 years, or he's not going to do it.
Yep.
To be the key receiver on a Super Bowl winning team, Diggs' window is only like 2 or 3 more years to be that guy.
Top 5 wide receiver and to be so close to the Super Bowl all those years and you can't get there. It's got to wear it's got to wear. It's almost like Andre Reed, like another different style players. It's almost like if you're Andre Reed and you get to the Super Bowl 4 straight times, you can't get there. You're probably sitting there like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I don't know what to do.
So if you're listening to this show and you're one of those guys who this is a little chicken soup for your soul. You play wide receiver, okay? You don't play point guard in the NBA. You don't play quarterback. You are a dependent position. So yeah, I mean the same things happens in the NBA with people like Shaq who can't get it until they get somebody else, or a lot of great wide receivers. Randy Moss until he got Tom Brady didn't even get to a Super Bowl. So you play wide receiver. It's just what it is, man.
you hope you have a good facilitator who you're on the same page with, because if not, you can get real ugly real fast.
And you can still dominate, but you're not going to win. Your good play doesn't directly translate into wins, just like Barry Sanders. Barry Sanders is in a dependent position. Barry Sanders is amazing. But if you don't got the great offensive line, if the defense can put, 9 in the box on you, if your quarterback is limited and makes boneheaded interceptions.
Scott Mitchell. Joey Harrington. Oh, no, it was before Sperry. It's all the Lions quarterback. Just name the Lions quarterback Joey around there. You pretty much just say the same one.
Calvin Johnson. Johnson.
I feel so bad for him. I legit like him and Barry. They should go out once a week and just go, what do they do to us, man? What do they do to us? Like, we were the best at our positions in the sport at the time, and then it's wasted away because they didn't know how to build a team right around us. Oh man! And then that whole thing about him not being on the same page with the owner, the front office, and they're trying to find the role for him to come back. And yeah, I feel bad for those guys. I feel bad, especially Calvin Johnson.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's agent got him $6.5 million guaranteed to play safety. Can you make sense of that for me? I mean, he led the league in picks and he's playing on a 1-year deal.
I just think he wanted way too much. I think he was looking for When you see like you had a lot, like you did well, like you tied the league in interceptions. That's a big thing, and you did it in less games than these other guys did. So you're doing that. And you're thinking like I can project to be more. I could be a real threat in in a secondary. I want more money. And I want to get on those levels, say a guy like Jesse Bates. And I think that when you look at what he's done, like he's willing to do, the Eagles just didn't have the money to pay him and Bradbury and Cox and anybody. They didn't have enough money to get back because once again, Jalen Hurts contract extension is coming up.
That's right.
So the fact and it works out in a way for the Eagles because the way that it looks like this defense, especially with this weak defense, where we see the RPOs, where we see the quick passing game is developing a little bit more. You need corners that can reroute these receivers or stick play on tightly on those, especially in the first 5 yards to affect those routes and get inside leverage. So the fact they have both corners back now, you can kind of live with a safety who's anything. I know he went down the box and covered slot receivers. I know he can go play the deep end, so he can take chances because he's got the cornerbacks that can stay around there. They can take chances for interception.
That's right.
But you look at the value of corners in this league today is way more than the value of a safety. And fortunately, he's a safety now, so he doesn't get that money. Like it's better than being a nickel corner like he was beforehand because he would have got even less than what he has as safety. But yeah, it's that way.
What do you think about? You think Avonte Maddox it will continue to play in the slot where he's been pretty excellent?
I think so. I think that's what you have to do in order you keep what you have going for you well. And that trio of Slay, Bradbury, and Maddox, it's one of the best trios, if not the best trio of cornerbacks in the league right there you have for it. It's almost like Bobby Taylor, Troy Vincent, and Al Harris. You got those three type players right there in that corner. And you can get away with a safety because especially in this, you know the safety's going to play either deep halves or quarter half or cover three.
That's right.
Yeah, if you just make sure, and I know that the one thing I do think
don't
one thing you'll see more
deep third.
Yeah, don't get beat deep, and then if you have to rotate down, that the only thing I'm worried about is if they have to rotate down because if the side really truly uses more Evangel type stuff when it comes to that matching underneath, excuse me, that's where I start to look at okay, where are these corners like can they cover deep and can they have the right communication to pass it off to the right person in that area? Because that's one thing. Like if that defense, if you don't know to have the right communication to pass it off, you're gonna see guys running free. Like, well, I thought you had it. Oh, I thought you had it. No, you just. And we'll be talking about
what's the Josiah Scott 3rd and 30.
Yes, sir. I will not confirm it or not. Just kidding. Yeah. Yeah, it's rough on that end, and boy, I don't know what's going on. That's a good question you brought up Josiah Scott because this team has a nickel cornerback coach now.
That's right.
And do you use? I know Greedy's more of an outside. Greedy Williams, the guy who signed, is an outside guy. Do you use him to try to go in there? I think this is a year where Josiah Scott is really under the microscope. I don't know. I don't know if they take a cornerback. I don't think they use the first round picks of a quarterback. I don't know if they sign another get one.
No.
Slot. But yeah, it's going to be crazy.
The fans, even though the Eagles ended up going way past the Cowboys, I don't know if the fan base is ever going to forgive Josiah Scott on that one. I mean, he's got a ball, you know. He's in that. He's not in Jalen Reagor territory because few athletes have been in Jalen Reagor territory. He's in Aguilar territory where it's like
we respect what you've done, but you have a couple plays that are like what's going on, like, and that's the thing. It's like when Josiah Scott first got in there, it's like, all right, he's playing straight. That one play that he let go, and looking at the tape, I say it's like I know say like it's a lot of that. I put 70% of that on him. Yes. There was something when it came to the switching around, rotating, and recognizing that route concept that's going a little more that should have happened, so it wouldn't been that would have happened. But 70% of that was on Scott. Some of that blame. There's a couple players that you look and it's like,
yes,
nah, you should have been
right.
Area, so
that's right.
Yeah. So it's I feel bad. Like I feel bad because he's taken the brunt of that
Yep.
whole entire
It was a
situation. But
team. It was a team mess up there because I don't
it,
love the call there either on
it,
3rd and 30.
this is a time where I hate it when he was there, but when Jim Schwartz used to pick up his defense, okay, you get it. You let him catch his
On
front
3rd
leg,
and
you tackle
30, that's
a
fine.
guy. Oh, that pick it, they're like, all right, pick a fence that makes sense there, but yeah, I think there's you look at the safety, you look at the underneath, the linebacker should cut. There was a couple things from there, but yeah, Josiah Scott took the part of that, the brunt of
So
that
you
stuff.
think Greedy's going to play? You think Greedy's going to play more outside,
Yeah,
back
I
up,
think looking at what he's done there, he gives you more depth. So now you have McPherson and Greedy Williams, and that's going to be. I think that's a battle for the dime cornerback spot. I think you're going to see
Okay.
between those two, and then you go from there, and it's there. It's a
Year 3
lot.
for
That's going to be key.
McPherson. This is the prove it year because I mean he could be elsewhere.
Yeah, they love him more. They love him. That's the key thing is to stand out on special teams too. They love him with special teams when it comes to his gunner
Mm-hmm.
abilities. But yeah, it's going to matter defense. He was the first one usually off the bench when Slayer Bradbury got hurt. So that spot's up there.
Yeah. How do you think Morrow and Edmonds are going to fit in Desai's defense?
I think it's like Morrow. When you look at him, it fits what that the job's going to be. Cover the flat area if you need to. If you see a running back leaking out there, or to hook the curl area where you that little areas of the defense, you do that. I'm curious to see who gets the green dot, like the old thing of who gets the defensive calls, who's making them. Is it going to be Morrow or is it going to be Nakobe Dean? I'm really curious about that. And then also who's going to play middle linebacker, who's going to play the weak side, because both players are interchangeable. I think Dean's a little bit more athletic than Morrow, but then no matter what you is, you're pretty light in the
Absolutely.
middle now. So you got to worry about
Mm-hmm.
that on there.
That's right.
When I look at Edmonds, yeah, and I look at Edmonds, I think he's more of your like. And Mike Tomlin, when he was asked about this, he put a good way in this because he says like there's not so much free safety and strong safety anymore. It's basically let you play left or right, and about and you go down the box depending
Yep.
on the matchup or the scheme call stuff like that. So I have no problem with him if it means he has to play closer to the box. He tries to get a quick jam, and he does the same thing almost like a linebacker does, where he goes a flat area, hook curl area. I have no problem with that. Only problem the only thing I'm a little concerned about is if he's lined up, say, against Kelsey in the slot, and Kelsey runs a go route in straight man coverage. That's where I'm like, all right, I'm a little concerned about that. But if he has to cover like a half a quarters, I'm cool with that as well too. So I think they're true fits. And when it comes to the size defense, it's going to look a lot similar to Gannon's defense. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's not going to be a ton of blitzes. It's going to rely on the front four. So a lot of zone with the match principles in there.
Okay. Well, get ready for that, fans, because there are a lot of people who are mad about it. I was giving him his flowers all the way to the run because they had an amazing run to the Super Bowl, allowing 13 points all the way to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But they did not get a stop in the second half. So that their bet is more that it's not a scheme problem, but it was more that the players didn't make a play, is what it sounds like. So
It was that and also the run game. The Chiefs' run game was really effective, and they were picking up big chunks of yards, and they were just wearing down. They basically Chiefs did what when the Eagles had trouble in their games. When you look at against the Saints, when you look at what they did against the Commanders, the problem was the Eagles' run defense was letting them go big chunks of plays. And historically, if you look back at when Desai was last a defensive coordinator, it's the same thing. The pass defense was really good. They got a lot of sacks. Robert Quinn had his best season as a pro. I think he had like 18 sacks or something like that, which you could envision Hassan Reddick doing that. The thing you got to worry about now is that run defense, and now they got lighter in the middle now. Evans gave you some like heft to there. Now you got lighter in that area.
absolutely.
And Desai, I think, finished like 16th or 17th in against the run when he was defensive coordinator too. So it wasn't the most stout deep run defense. So it's going to be they're going to have to be up on teams a lot, and then try and force the other team to play catch up. Because if they let the run game go, and it ain't great.
Yeah, because you got those two linebackers we're talking about at the moment being the starting linebackers. Well, people who play large minutes in the 4-3 are going to be Morrow and Edmonds. They're both basically converted safeties.
Yep.
Their body style and their speed, and so yeah, they're going to be a little light in the cakes, as they say.
And this is
what?
where Dr. Cox and Jordan Davis and Milton Williams, all the defensive, they have to play well this year because they're going to have to occupy those interior line. Because if those linemen, like the guards, get to the second level on those guys, it could be like 5, 6, 7 yards a chunk if they allow it to happen. If they don't play their right gaps and sound gap control.
And it'll be the formula that the Eagles see a lot of if you make it really simple for them. You don't have to have a lot of complicated, pulls and all that. Just worn out in the trenches.
Yep.
So, what do you think about Nolan Smith coming to the Eagles with number 10? What do you think about the Eagles doing? In general, what do you think the possibilities are at number 10?
At 10, I think they move back a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a drastic change from like 10 to 20. I think they move back maybe a couple spots to try to recoup because they don't have a fourth, fifth, or sixth round pick at all.
Okay.
And we know how much they like to. They don't like to that thing. The fact you're not going to be picking most of day three, like you're sitting around like, oh, okay, well, nah. I think they'll make a. I think they'll trade to at least recoup one of those picks. If I'm there and I know he's got a lot of baggage, if he does fall this far, I remember reading something they seen one team, I think the Raiders, I think may have taken him off the board completely. But if Jalen Carter falls down that far, I know he's got his issues with what happened with the accident. I know there's the stuff about his pro day.
Mm-hmm.
If he's there, I got to take him because I think you look at the need in the future. Because I doubt Fletcher Cox you're going to sign Fletcher Cox again for another 1 year deal.
That's right.
Proven wrong once before, but hey, you never don't know that.
I was surprised they brought him back in the first place, to be honest.
Yeah, I really was, and I thought like they needed to in a way. Like I was sorry they did, but
absolutely.
Absolutely. Like, good luck.
I agree too. Yeah. But I didn't think they were going to do it. I mean, what did you get, about $8 million, something like that?
10. 1 year, 10. Yeah. he's a captain, and I think if you get signed like that, if you sign Carter, that way you have Davis and Carter learning from Fletcher Cox at least for 1 year, get him acclimated to it. You have the veteran leadership around on his team to get him say, hey, this is the way we do things around here. Get him focused, get him make sure he's in shape, and you now all of a sudden you have the old Georgia defensive line doing their thing, and now you saw what happened in college. That could be a really dynamic group. If he's gone and they do trade back, then I think Smith is viable because we know how the Eagles like edge rushers. They have Brandon Graham, another guy on a 1 year deal. Derek Barnett's coming off his ACL. His contract's up after the end of the season. I believe Josh Sweat's might be up as well too. I got to double check that. But yeah, I think they need some young depth.
Sweat might have one more.
One more, yeah. They need some young edge rushers.
He has one more. Yeah.
They need, and we know how much they like to rotate them, and they can use that impact too. So I think his name's starting to rise a little bit more. I like his quickness off the ball. I think he relies on his bull rush a little bit too much, and that NFL strip is different from the college strip. Is way different. And I worry about his coverage, which you don't want to see Hassan Reddick in coverage as much, but he does effectively with it. And so yeah, I think those are Smith or Carter for me are going to be the guys I look at that spot.
How late should people expect to see the Eagles grab a running back off the board? Is it possible none of these names like Bijan or Jahmyr Gibbs? There's a lot of these discussions going on. So what are you thinking?
I think if you look at the way, if Bijan's there at 30, I think it's a long, hard thought. You take a look at that because you can make a case. You got a running backs are effective for about 6 years.
Yeah, right. That's right.
The decline. So if you get him for 5 years, you get the 4 years. You pick up his 5th year option if he's doing well. You got a guy of his caliber who, and one thing I think this offense could really use besides Gainwell is like another running back can catch passes out the backfield, be that outlet. If he can be into that offense and sort of there with his talent, that just makes your whole one side stronger. Like one side, you put all that stuff to one side stronger, you just outscore everybody. I think that's there. If they don't take him there, I think you're looking maybe a third round, but I'd use that on a slot receiver. So probably won't be like so sixth round maybe, and hopefully get a guy who's you take the basis of law, you're taking that point.
What about a tight end? Do you think they're good with Stoll and Calcaterra?
I think they like them a lot. They like Stoll, especially for the way that his blocking ability, because I mean, Dallas is good on both sides, on both blocking and receiving. The thing you really would like if you go that 12 personnel, you like to have another guy who catches. I think Stoll's really good at blocking, and so when Goddard goes out in those Goddard goes on those patterns, he's at least still in there to block. Makes sense. And he started to get a little better in the receiving. Like when we saw him, the ball get thrown, I was like, Stoll got a target, and he caught it. All right, cool. And he started running that way too in there. Calcaterra, I like a lot. I think you look at what he can bring in the passing game. He runs a lot. He can run his routes crisply, efficiently. And the question on him was blocking. And I think this offseason, I think I would like to see him get like 5-10 pounds with him and really work on his footwork and his hand placement for his blocking. If he does that, I think he might be in the running for the tight end 2 spot. I really do. So I think they run with what they have right now.
His route running is great. Yeah, his route running is great. He's a great receiving tight end.
Yeah, the way he sets up,
great is a little heavy, but great young receiving tight end.
the way he sets up, I forget what game it was, but the way he set up the linebacker as a safety, the way he did the quick shuffle, the little shoulder moving inside to get inside leverage. I was like, all right, cool. That's what he was expected of him, when he came out of college. So I like what he can bring. It's a matter. His block is the only thing that keeps him, I think, off the field more, except for when they use those 3 tight end sets.
So the people like me who've been looking forward to the Tyree Jackson era, should we get over it?
And the thing is, I really like Tyree. I like him as like what he could potential could be as a person. I really do. Like he's really chill guy. I'm just looking at the 2 years now with the injuries. I think push comes to shove. Yeah, toward the end of the year he could play, but pushing something like that, I think he would.
He's not going to be pushing Dallas Goedert for targets, huh?
No, I think there's some creative roster stuff that was being done there, but
I mean,
they like him a lot. They like him. I think there's some creative roster usage that was done there. They like him a lot because the fact they put him on IR because they think that's like, we'll just move on.
Yep.
But it's going to be a competition, but I still think he's a better receiving option. He's a better receiver like blocker. The same thing like Alcantara. It's a matter of who becomes a better blocking thing because he struggled at times when it came to that. So, I mean, if he works out to the point where you look at them as like, all right, cool, like his blocking's a lot better. Having him in the red zone with Dallas Goedert, with AJ Brown, with Devonta Smith with his route running, good luck trying that. Or even at the 3 tight end sets, you get him, Stoll, and Goddard together working in conjunction and just run a play after pass around in that red zone, in a deep red zone. Try to stop it. There's so much stuff you can do.
That's what I've been thinking about the whole time. I'm like, I just need you to be healthy.
The best. I still remember that his rookie season when he hurt his back in training camp. I still to this day I'm still like what am I? I had a what am I doing moment because there was Harold Carmichael and Mike Quick sitting next to me, and we were looking like, and you see you're talking like they're impressed, and then the back half is like. They couldn't believe it because they thought this guy was really good and he could develop to be somebody good in that way. And the back injury happened. He was like, they shake it off, and then we find out what happened, and the rest is history. But he could be. You see the traits there, and that's the frustrating part. It's like just stay healthy. If your body can hold up, man, you could be a weapon. But
he could be a Darren Waller. I mean, I'm not trying to go too far, but like. But the traits in he's got that kind of profile. And I think, honestly, that kind of potential. He could really have that kind of story where if the Eagles do write him off, he goes to, the Chargers or something like that and just goes off.
Yeah, if the Eagles weren't as deep as they are tight end, he could be a number 2 tight end. He really could be at least number 2 on his team. It's just that's how just the roles that you see with everybody. It's that I think it's going to come down to again, is it going to be Calcaterra or is it going to be Johnson? Well, I think we're at that point all over again, all over when it comes to who's going to be the third tight end because this team's not keeping four. So
no.
It's like, or it might be like, oh, Grant, your hamstring looks like it's hurting again. Huh. I think you might have to stay on IR this year. What? Oh, yeah, you're right. My hamstring hurts. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, Grant, you're not feeling good today. Grant, you're on IR. Yeah, it's gonna take you 6 weeks.
Before. That's never happened before. Yeah. Oh, you gotta love the way. You gotta love how some of this stuff.
You do. How he knows. How Howie is everybody looks at Howie for how to manage the roster, manage the cap, and he's been amazing.
That's everywhere. All these teams, if somebody comes back is like, oh, we had to play such and such on the injured reserve, like because it's always interesting if you ever watch. Look at the practice like on a Friday, the official practice report comes out. Always look. I usually like if you look at the Wednesday one. Thursday is usually interesting because something always pops up Thursdays like that's around the league. If you look at anything around the league, Thursday a player who's like maybe on the bottom third of the roster, such and such developed a back injury or developed a knee issue, and then they put that, and then somebody comes back right before somebody big's supposed to come off the IR, and then it's like, well, we had to put this one too, but this person, I'm sorry, he's on IR. It's like, what? Come on now, like he's healthy all year, and all of a sudden in practice he just tweaks something. Like that. If anything, I thought teams around it's tough to prove that. Yeah, he tweaked it, and we did a Delver look, and I think we need some time to rest and do IR. So that's the one thing I think teams around the league need that there has to be a better. I think it would open up and stop some of the stashing. I think teams around the league there has to be addressed, but I think everybody's that unwritten code of I won't tell if you won't tell. I won't tell if you won't tell. All right.
Right, that's exactly what's going on.
Oh, exactly nobody wants to say the silent part out loud.
That's right. Well, we just did. Sorry, y'all. But Chris,
hey, we're media. We're media. We're allowed to. I don't care.
Yes, that's right. That's what we're out here to do.
All speculation. That's speculation.
Yes. Yeah, speculation. That's just wild speculation from Chris and Matt. They're totally unfounded.
Totally so
unfounded, wild speculation. But Chris, what are you working on now that we should look forward to before the draft and before I'm able to have you back on again?
Yeah, it's basically we'll get everything full draft ahead. Start doing probably do another mock this weekend for Monday and
okay.
Some other stuff. So I've talked to a couple of analysts trying to find out like some of his deals, and just we're on Hurts extension watch from here all the way out, possibly to training camp. Who knows? So we're still just waiting to see if or when the deal extension is agreed upon. And yeah, it's going to be the dead period is coming up in June, but it's crazy to think that the Super Bowl is only in February with it, and now we've already gone through a combine. I've gone through the league meeting. Right. Draft only 3 weeks away, 3 weeks away. So.
It's a crazy time. Just playing football, yeah, because the Eagles were in it. Because you were, you were in Arizona.
The 80 degrees and come back to 40 something degrees. Oh man, that's not body hurt.
Well, thank y'all so much for listening. You can follow the podcast over at Mention Pod on Twitter, honorable mention _podcast on Instagram. Follow Chris at C Franklin News and go read his stuff over at NJ.com. Listening to any number of publications in the Philly area and taking over all over soon. Thank you so much for being on, Chris.
Hey man, thanks as always, man. It's fun talking to you and chopping it up. I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.